Hey, welcome to Square Body Stuff. I'm Chad, your host, and we've got Buddy to help us out in this video. If you're new to this channel, we pretty much just focus on messing around with those square body pickups, 73 through 87 Chevrolet 2 and 4-wheel drive pickups. I've got a few of them out here. Got some junk ones. There's a couple over there. Anyways, but today we're going to be messing around with Buddy here. In this video I'm going to show you how to unlatch your hood if your inside hood release cable breaks. Now this will only work on the 81 through 87 or the square eye front end trucks. The hood latch mechanism or the cable on the round eyes, the 73 through 80s, are a little bit different. I may go over that some other time in a different video, but for this one, just going to be on the newer trucks. And before we get started, if you like what you see here on this channel, which is mostly square bodies, every once in a while I'll throw in one of my other vehicles, but mostly square bodies. If you appreciate that kind of content, hit that subscribe button down below, give me a like, ring that bell so you get notifications, and also down in my description box there's a link to my Instagram, Facebook, my Teespring store where you can check out and get some of my merchandise. If you want to get some of that, that helps us out too on the channel. A little bit of fun donation for some projects. Also feel free to give me a comment. Just let me know what you think of the channel, or let me know what you think of the project, or if you have any questions, let me know, and I try to get to every one of them I possibly can. And I've seen this topic come up on Facebook several times. I've never experienced it myself before, but it does happen. If your cable breaks on these trucks, you go to pull your cable and it does nothing, cable's broke, you cannot access the cable from outside. It's in between the hood and the core support. It's not behind the grill like the older ones. I'm going to show you how to unlatch it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, it's a little tricky, but I'm going to show you what I've come up with. I didn't come up with the idea all on my own. I got to give credit to someone on Facebook. I'll put his name down below here somewhere. I don't remember it right off the top of my head, but I will find it, put his name down there. Credit to him because he's the one that gave me the idea. I've seen it before, but I asked him if I could use his idea. He said sure, so give him the credit. So this hood latch works and everything, so it's not a complete disaster scenario. And I did play around with it for probably about an hour this morning to try to really figure out how to make it work so I could show you guys the easiest way possible. Alright, first I'm going to show you kind of how this latch works, and that way you have an idea of what you're grabbing hold of and what you're doing actually with this piece of wire. I'll show you here in just a little bit. Now I'm going to show you real quick how the hood latch works. Whenever you shut your hood, it pushes that down, and that's latched. And when you go inside to pull your cable, it pulls that and releases. So what we're trying to get to, if the hood is latched and your cable's broke, we're trying to get to this arm right here. I think this would be a good place to make note that before you run into any issues, keep your hood latch lubricated. You could either use just engine oil or white lithium grease. It comes in a spray can. Any type of lubricant. WD-40 is not really a good lubricant. Maybe a short-term lubricant or to help free things up, but it's not a good long-term lubricant. So you need some sort of oil, like even a 3-in-1 oil or some gun oil or some sort of oil that'll stay in there to keep your latch lubricated. That'll help prevent maybe that cable from breaking, too much pressure on it. And also, if you do have problems, it'll make it easier for your latch to unlatch. Alright, like I said earlier, I messed around with this for quite a bit so I could really kind of explain the right where you need to get to help you, because it is kind of a pain in the butt to find a wire to get up in there and grab the right part, because you only have a little bit of space in between the hood and the core support. So here's what I've come up with as more permanent type tool, and what I'm suggesting is make something like this. This is actually just made out of a piece of 1/8 inch welding rod. It's just long enough. It needs to be maybe a little bit longer would help, but it's just long enough. If you have a welding rod laying around, or if you know anybody that's got stick welder, asking for a couple welding rods, and you can just take your pliers and or hammer or whatever, take all the flux off of it. What I'm going to use this for is I'm actually going to put this in my glove box. That way, if for some reason I ever have an issue, I know I've got a good tool to be able to unlatch my hood in case it ever breaks on me. Now, I started out just trying to use this, and what this is a piece of 3/32, which is a little bit smaller than 1/8 inch, a piece of aluminum filler rod. I wanted to use it because it's a little flimsier and it may be closer to what a coat hanger is. Honestly, I don't have any metal coat hangers. All the coat hangers we have are plastic, so I couldn't actually use that as an example. So this is some aluminum filler rod that's about the same thickness as most coat hangers. It's just a little bit more flexible, obviously. So I figured if I can get it done with this, you can get it done with the coat hanger. If you're caught somewhere and you don't have, if you haven't made this yet, and you get in a bind or something like that, or a buddy's truck, whatever. If you don't have your tool with you, you can use a piece of coat hanger or heavy wire to get in there. Right now, I'm going to show you with the hood up what we're doing with the tool. I'm going to demonstrate with the tool first. But the scenario, I'll set the scenario up. Your hood is latched. That'll be your hood is down. It's latched. And right here, you'll have your spring that's connected to your hood will be in your way. So what you do is you try to sneak this rod around there, and that's why it's bent the way it is. Try to sneak that rod around, and then you'll feel it go over that. And then you pull on it, and it'll unlatch. Now it's a lot easier to do whenever you're able to look at it and see what's going on and not going by feel. So what I suggest is do what I did, is I got the tool to where it worked and it was shaped right, and I just practiced and practiced and practiced and played around with it just to kind of get the good feel for it, because it can get hung up here if you go up too far and almost lock your latch up. I almost got my hood stuck because of it. And now I'll demonstrate with the hood down and show that this tool does work. But I wanted to show you this way because this is the reason why the tool is shaped the way it is. So it's kind of bent to where it'll reach around everything and give you the leverage to pull on that latch. As you can see, I'll pull up on that. There, unlatches. Another thing I'd like to note before I put the hood down is kind of get familiar with, and you can see it with the hood down. You can kind of see through there and see where everything's at, but kind of get familiar with where your spring is going to be and the edge of your hood latch and where this latch is from the front. That way you kind of have reference points. The latch that we're trying to reach is about around 2 inches from the center of the hood. So about 2 inches from the center of the hood is where that latch is at. Then the spring is probably a good 6 inches, 7 inches. But you can see the spring a little easier than, I mean, you definitely can't see your latch when the hood's down. But that'll give you a reference point of where you're aiming for and how long your tool is, so you don't go too far. One nice thing about the tool I made is it's not long enough to reach around this side. Just a piece of wire, a coat hanger, I was having a problem when I was practicing. It was actually, I was going too far and starting to grab this outside edge, and then it'd get hung up and I'd have to pop the hood from the inside to get everything unhung. It was a pain in the butt. So really, that's why I wanted to kind of stress finding some reference points, knowing what you got going on in there, so you'll have less of an issue if you have to unlatch your hood like this. Alright, we'll ignore Buddy's hood. It's pretty rough shape. I'll put another hood on him one of these days. I've actually got a couple to choose from, but just too lazy to do it, I guess. But I'm going to start out with what was a straight piece of wire. Go ahead and make a hook on it, grab that latch, and then go back to kind of your reference points where your latch is at and where your spring is at. You're going to want plenty of room there, and this first bend will kind of give you an idea of how far you need to go in. This bend another 2 or 3 inches, probably 3 inches. Kind of gets you around that spring more. Then I want to put another bend in there, kind of straight up, and make it at a right angle with this. That way you kind of know you got a little bit of leverage to move it up and down. We'll sneak it in there. You can kind of see what's going on, but a lot of it's by feel. It's a little harder with this thin wire because it's a little more flexible. But I want to show you it could be done with a piece of aluminum wire, and it's not even as thick as that steel wire. So if you got a coat hanger, whatever you've got, it should be strong enough. As long as it's strong enough to hold that bend, should be strong enough to grab that latch. Now I'll show you how to do that with the tool I made. I mean, it's probably got about a 3/4 inch hook, and about 3 inches from the end is where I made the first bend, and about another 3 inches kind of bent it. This is another little bend, just kind of gets you going around that spring. And just like with that smaller wire, I put an end on it to where I can have some leverage. Just like that. Hopefully this video saved you some frustration if you ever break the cable on your truck. I seriously advise you going ahead and making a tool like this, keeping it in your truck. That way, if it ever happens, you will have the proper tool to get it open. It's not easy, it's kind of tricky, it's just you can't really see what's going on. It's more by feel, and I don't have any exact measurements on this, but this is what it is. Make something similar to that, keep it in your truck, and until next time, y'all keep your square bodies rolling, and we'll catch you later.